Hello, denizens of the internet. My turn to weigh in on South Park's Panderverse special. There will be spoilers. In contrast to all the gushing over this episode, I thought it missed the mark and was a bit too inside baseball. For those of you who have been salivating, waiting for this evisceration of the much-hated Disney, this wasn't it. Frankly, it amounted to a mild rebuke. Far better, funnier dissections are available right here on YouTube that predate this effort by years. The four things this episode is sending up are those who graduated from a white-collar, non-trades-oriented school are not handy and incapable of fixing everyday things in life and soon must compete for the services of handymen. The second item is the diversity casting virus gripping the entertainment business, mixed with a parody of Marvel's over-reliance on multiverses. And finally, the massive ongoing failure at Disney corporate. All four of these things cross over in places like any good multiverse mass of confusion does. Putting aside the handyman segment, the main story features Cartman switching places with his black female doppelganger from the Panderverse and trying to find a way back while running away from Kathleen Kennedy, who apparently is stalking him. The show opens with Stan, Kyle, Kenny, and Eric at the school bus stop, except they have been race and gender swapped. Kenny is now a lesbian. This would have been a scathing indictment of the whole diversity insanity, except I really liked these four women. Thought the characters were funnier than the OGs. Trey and Matt really missed a key element of the gender-swapping shenanigans. It's mandatory that the women be dour and homely, like a compost heap. These women were, well, frankly, super attractive as far as South Park goes. Maybe that was their intention. The lesson here is, if you're going to substitute men with lesbians and you want it to be successful, at least make them hot lesbians. Of course, it's Cartman having a nightmare. He asks his mom to look under the bed to see if Kathleen Kennedy is there. Now, my very first thought was, how many normies out there have a friggin' clue who Kathleen Kennedy is? Hollywood knows who she is. YouTubers weekly demanding her head know who she is. It's not scathing comedy if the subject of your ire is generally unknown. It's fun to make fun of Kennedy here in our tiny echo chamber, but on a mass market property, weird. The next scene starts the handyman arc with Randy telling Stan and Shelley that kids are lazy, app-addicted bums and don't know how to fix things, whereby Randy Marsh shows Stan and Shelley how to fix the broken oven door by pulling out his phone and calling a repairman. This is actually an old Jewish joke. This builds in a logical, exaggerated fashion with lots of good gags and is generally quite funny, but you're not here wanting to know how that played out. You want the Disney and Kennedy dirt. Next up, we have a psychiatrist talking with Cartman, who falls back into his nightmare of diversity, but this time featuring Cartman as Kathleen Kennedy, yelling, "Put another diverse woman in it!" And then Cartman mentions Disney's stock plummeting and Bob Iger blaming Kennedy while screaming. Again, who out there in the general public knows who Bob Iger is? The Team America movie was funny because we knew all the assholes in it. Not saying South Park shouldn't have done this, but while I get it, I also don't get it. Get it? After the Americans don't know how to fix shit segment, we find the boys in school and Cartman ranting his conspiracy theory that Disney and Kennedy are out to get them. And Kyle mentions how sick everyone is about the multiverse and that it's just an excuse for lazy writing. Cue the multiverse portal that spirits Cartman away and we move to the next relevant scene labeled Universe 216-B, where black female Cartman is spirited away and replaced by our Eric. And suddenly this all goes meh. Black female Cartman confronts the gang, and the humor is derived solely from the juxtaposition of South Park naughty words, which they have a lot, coming from the unusual suspects in this case. The scene in the principal's office where they are told they're being racist to black female Cartman was actually funny. In Universe 216-B, Eric seems to be not only the only white person, but also the only male. It's all okay, but I couldn't help thinking this would have been way funnier 2 years ago. The next relevant scene features Bob Iger and his staff complaining about the failure of all their movies. After all, they have been pandering really hard, making the same movie over and over again, but nothing is working. I didn't understand that. That's not the problem with Disney. The existence of the Panderstone is revealed, and everyone is wondering how the once successful Kathleen Kennedy is making such horrible decisions at Disney. It's at this point the show lost any opportunity for making fun of Hollywood culture. Sure, use the Panderstone as a MacGuffin, but this group of execs were actually totally reasonable. If Trey and Matt had made them a room full of rage, spittle-spitting, sexually ambiguous women and men with purple hair and excessive metal facial piercings, then I think that would have been better parody. Could they be creatures created by the Panderstone? Sure, there's a creature at the very end. But this was convoluted and missed the mark. Cartman Kennedy repeating, "Put a chick in it, make her gay," was a funny running gag. But where was the devastating parody of woke Hollywood? It almost seemed that the Panderstone was a way to make light fun, but not really go for the jugular. Iger and team discover that Cartman Kennedy is not the real Kennedy and put a plan in place that will return her. Now I am further confused because Kennedy is really only involved with Lucasfilm and not Disney in general. Would those of us in the YouTube-verse love to see a nasty takedown of her litany of failures in movies on Disney Plus and at Disney World? Yeah, absolutely. Why not have a scene with Iger and team visiting a thoroughly pathetic Galaxy's Edge hotel experience? Have Mark Hamill pop in and rip her a good one. Perhaps South Park has already done all this. I don't know. This is the first South Park I've seen in years. I'm sure you'll correct me in the comments. Now, let's jump to the end where Cartman is running away from the real, in quotes, Kathleen Kennedy. Cartman is trapped in an alleyway, but Kennedy admits she knows he's also in the wrong universe and says they have to work together to get out. Iger tracks down Randy Marsh and tells him that they need to find a place with integrity with a broken door. Now, this I found to be a hilarious abuse of Deus Ex Machina. Of course, it had to be the broken oven door at the beginning of this episode. Cut to the Marsh kitchen, and everyone assembles. Now, I thought it would have been a way better gag if they find out upon arrival that the oven door is repaired, and Mrs. Marsh, tired of the broken door, just fixed it herself. Women tired of their useless men could have been a nice gag. Cut back to Eric and Kathleen having tea together. Kennedy admits to using the Panderstone. Cartman admits that he's responsible for sending the tens of thousands of hate mail to Kennedy, which caused her to abuse the Panderstone. So, all this garbage from Disney was Cartman's fault? This was a surprise twist that, frankly, let Kennedy off the hook for all the damage she actually did to Star Wars and other Lucasfilm properties. Suddenly, the core parody of race and gender swapping is frankly lost. What happened to the Force is female? The premise of using the Panderstone to make the same movie over and over was not the problem with Disney. It's not even funny. It's about pissing on the core audience and pandering to a narrow audience of ideologues who don't buy any friggin' tickets. Cartman and Kennedy return to their respective universes. Kenny is killed. Everything returns to equilibrium. The show fizzled out because it lost its way. There needed to be Disney and Kennedy blood in the water. Sorry, Trey and Matt, not one of your best efforts. Maybe I anticipated too much. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.